So I want to share a little bit of information about this app that I've been using recently called Kaizena. And it is a interactive feed book or feedback experience. So it kind of is set up like Google Classroom. So you have to establish your groups, your classes, and then once that happens, your kids get a code that they have to and the directions that they have to file and sign into. So once they do that, we can then essentially have conversations with these groups. What I really like about this application is that not only does it function as an add-on in Google Docs, but it allows me to create lessons. So a lot of the times when I'm providing feedback, there's a redundancy to my feedback, or I'm noticing that, for instance, I'm working on college essays. The kids are really struggling with evoking imagery or using imagery in their descriptive language. So what I can do is I can actually create a lesson specifically on imagery. So here's a couple of lessons that I created, but here's my lesson on imagery. So what I've done with this is I've added comments. I can then sync a video to it. And in the video, it pops up and it's a nice little video about what is imagery and examples of it. I've also linked in other documents that support using imagery in effective writing. And this another document says this guide breaks down how to add the 5 senses. So what I can do with this, if I get for the students, is I can create a conversation. And in doing so, what can happen is I can go into my class that I want to create a conversation, and I can add a file and also add comments. So this information went to my 19 kids in this class. I can also have individual conversations. So if I wanted to specifically talk to Claire, for instance, I could say, okay, Claire, I'd really like you to check out this video on avoiding you when writing. And I would just post that lesson to Claire, and she would see that conversation. I can also create new conversations and have conversations with just a couple of kids and highlight a couple of the kids that I want to talk to and do the same thing. With this also, what happens on their end is they go into the add-on. So if they submitted this piece of work and they go to their add-on and they go to their shortcut, Kaizena shortcut, what it does is it opens my comment thread on the right-hand side. So not only would they get comments if I put it in as a Google Classroom comment, they would also see the other conversations from Kaizena. And you could do 2 things. He could, so I did a sample with the kids and I shared this with Nathan. And so he could go right to this, open this conversation on Kaizena, and he could click there and it would pop right up to Kaizena and he could read it there. Okay. Or he could just continue here. What I love about Kaizena is that I can actually record my voice and give verbal feedback. So for instance, this is what I said. My voice saying something to you, and then I can click. So I was kind of demonstrating and showing them all at the same time. So it's just another way to provide effective feedback in kind of this digital age. In my lessons as well, if I go to my lessons section, I can also add comments, verbal comments to my lessons. Let me find one that I did. So here was a comment that I made. So if I were to link the common application essay writing comment to a document, they would have links to the common application prompts, essay structure samples, imagery, and then my very long kind of talk about why we're writing.
I know that writing the college essay
or writing the Common App essay is a really kind of overwhelming and daunting task. So what's great about this is if I'm looking at something and I notice that if I have 15 kids in my classroom and I notice that maybe 10 of them are struggling with a concept, I can create a new conversation for those 10 kids here and say, wow, maybe all of you need to work on an essay support. And then I could just share that kind of feedback or that lesson with those kids, and the other 5 kids wouldn't need to be supported with that area. So it really allows me to individualize my feedback as well. And it's a great kind of function to have all of this in the same place. The kids can then comment back through here, through our conversation, and also talk to each other. In one of my conversations in my C block, I noticed that there was a student the other day who asked for help, and then another student replied. This makes me sad because that's the wrong form of viewer, but we'll get there. So it's also another way to for the kids to communicate, and they kind of compared it to like, it's kind of like Messenger on Facebook. I guess it is, but it's a little bit more user friendly and works specifically with Google Docs.